Yeah, my name is Ansel Jocks, and I operate Swampy Appleseed mushrooms. I live in Reedsville, Georgia, which is about an hour and a half from Savannah. But Savannah is my main source of business. This weekly farmers market here at Forsyth Park, and then most of the higher-end restaurants in town. I also sell mushrooms to St. Simon's Island and Bluffton Hilton Head area. The business kind of started following the hobby, right? I've been a mushroom enthusiast since I was like 13 or 14 years old. In fact, the name Swampy Appleseed Mushrooms was my username on this mushroom forum I was a member of in high school, you know. And so I hunted mushrooms for maybe a decade, wanting to identify them, learn which ones are which kind of thing. And then I started discovering that truffle, right? And that truffle was worth so much money, and I just graduated with an English degree, and I needed money. And that was it, man. I never went back. I started finding truffles, and the second day I found them, I found like $2,000 worth of truffles, so I started building a business on it.
How passionate or interested were you in your business?
Oh, I mean, 110%. It was my number one hobby since I was a child, is hunting mushrooms. I like hiking, I like being outdoors, and so mushrooms was kind of the perfect hobby to fit into that. I can go for a hike, and I have my own little agenda now is to look for mushrooms.
What's the procedure of your business?
So,
Or the process?
yeah, so the process starts with my line of cultivation, which for the most part now I've mixed all kinds of sub in my life, but I try to buy all the pre-made sub I can where I can fruit and sell mushrooms as fast as I can. So within the last year, I've gone from working in front of makeshift laboratories to make mushroom kits so that people could grow their own mushrooms, to instead getting hundreds of kits at a time and fruiting them out and selling the mushrooms. I call them kits, but it's really my production bags. I grow mushrooms on bags of sawdust.
Where do you get the kits from?
So I get them from a place in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Another mushroom nerd my age. We met at the same time, and we were both building mushroom farms. And so he sells directly to some food distributors in Atlanta. And he doesn't have a business outside of that as much. And so I buy his mushroom substrate. And so we share the workload, I guess. The whole life cycle of mushrooms is lab work, fruiting work, and then sales, right? And so we found a division of labor there.
How long does it take to grow or produce your mushrooms?
Let's say you started from nothing, right? And you introduced a little fungal culture into some sawdust. That sawdust will be colonized in about 10 days. And then when I open the bag of colonized substrate, it's about another 10 days from there that I get my mushrooms. So 2 or 3 weeks from going from a bag of sawdust to a box full of mushrooms.
What does the sawdust do to your mushrooms?
So I'm growing a mushroom that's called a saprotrope or saprophyte. It's a death lover. It's a decomposer. A lot of mushrooms are not decomposers. They live in a symbiotic relationship with trees. These are decomposers. So what the sawdust is providing is food for the mushrooms to get their nutrients and their energy they need to produce the mushrooms. A mushroom is the fruit body of the mycelium, right? Mycelium is this body of fungus that turns the sawdust white. And so I'm feeding the mycelium, and I want the biggest, healthiest, most vigorous mycelium I can. So when I introduce fresh air and the right fruiting conditions to my mycelium, it'll fruit, and its fruit is mushrooms.
How did you hear about the market, and when did you get involved?
So at the end of what year is it now? It's 2018. At the end of 2015, I guess, I started joining sharing a table with Billy's Botanicals, the aquaponics farmer down there, because we had a mutual friend, Jason, who was the former assistant manager here. And Jason knew me as a local mushroom nerd and forager. I took groups of people out for free. It wasn't a business. I was graduating from Armstrong at the time, and I was just a mushroom enthusiast in town. And he said, "You really need to start selling your mushrooms." And it was around that same time that I started finding the truffles and realizing that my hobby could make a little money. So Billy let me share his end of the table, and within 3 weeks I decided to have my own booth and be my own vendor or something like that.
How the market impacted your business?
Oh, hugely so. I mean, this is a giant retail space. You see how busy it was when I was here earlier. Hundreds and hundreds of people filter through this sidewalk. And even Savannah trolley tours, the Savannah tourism industry, will drop off tourists at one end of the park and pick them up at the other. I mean, this is a great hub for people in retail space. So the market not only showed me that there was an unsatisfied demand for mushrooms, but it supported me for the first year of my business. I didn't sell to any restaurants. I got all the mushrooms I could during the week, and I sold them on the weekend. So if it weren't for this market, I might have very much gone a different direction with my life. I was set to finish grad school and go on and try to be a community professor or be a high school teacher, something like that. And this market saved me from that. This is much better than that.
What struggles or challenges do you face in the market?
Particular, I feel like sales is not my biggest issue. Mushrooms are pretty easy to sell because I don't have a lot of competition. But the actual nuances of the market, that I live so far away from it, that it's so hot here. I mean, I have a very sensitive produce, so it's easy for my mushrooms to look like garbage by the end of the market, even if I bring them good. So I've brought fans and different methods to try to keep them cool, but one of my restrictions is the timeline, the weather. A storm can come and everybody leaves, and I'm left with a mortgage I can't pay or whatever. You know what I mean? So just the farmer's market, that it's fickle. That some days can be more crowded than others. That some days are hotter than others. That's just the struggles of a farmer's market, I think. So I leave my house in Reedsville about 6 a.m. or so. It takes me an hour and 15, an hour and a half. So I'm usually here by 7:30 and try to be set up by 8. The market starts at 9. And that, it seems like an hour would be more than enough, but I'll be set up and ready, and it seems like I need that hour. So I leave the house at 6, I'm set up and ready to go by 8, and the market technically starts at 9 and ends at 1. Oh no, you're fine. I'm a local celebrity now. I've sold out.
Really?
I know, I'm breaking hearts. I'm sorry.
Alright, well.
I'll be back next weekend.
Yeah.
With chanterelles and shiitake and all the good stuff. Okay, thank you.
How has the market helped you connect with the community?
Oh, you see there, somebody coming by. I've got a list of regulars, and I think the community was a huge motivator. People telling me to come back, telling me how thankful they are to have a mushroom vendor here in town. When before, the mushroom interest was a hobby for field identification, for the things I like to read, and the interest in the way that fungus kind of works in the world around us. But coming to the market and interacting with everybody showed me that it's a valuable food, it's a valuable product, not just an interesting subject matter. I've had a long list of regulars that have been on my mushroom parades that I host, and brought guests along on the next one that have loved it and come back. I'll mention specifically a lady named RJ Vincent. I don't think she does it as much anymore, but she used to act as a host for the Wolf organization, which does organic farming and hosts students who want to work on organic farms. I'm not sure if it's exclusive to students, but she took a big interest, and she loved the idea of integrating mushrooms into our world more than just eating. And so she invited me to her private property, where we built a series of check dams to actually filter the storm drainage from Savannah's drainage systems. So we're using my leftover mushroom substrate, my old Mycelium. We're using it to filter Savannah's city water before it goes into the Vernonburg River. And so it's kind of neat that I came here, and there's people that shared the interest or were motivated enough by my interest to do projects beyond just eating mushrooms, where we're now filtering public water with mushroom substrates, and we're hosting walks and things like that.
What drives you to stay involved with the social side?
I don't want to get a job again, I want to be unemployed for life. I'm motivated in sharing good food. Also, I feel pretty passionate that South Georgia is rich in this natural resource. I'm from very poverty-stricken South Georgia, you know what I mean? And my neighbors are eating catfish out of the water that's contaminated by mercury like 7 days a week. And on the way to the river, they're stepping on hundreds of pounds of chanterelles that are worth 20 bucks a pound, and they don't know. I think if mushrooms were less taboo in the region, then Georgia could make a little money off of it. And I know that Georgia needs some money, you know what I mean? So I'm motivated for all kinds of reasons. I'm passionate about what mushrooms can do for the world, and I'm also kind of passionate about showing the locals. We live in a subtropical climate, full of good food, good money out there, you know what I mean?
Is anyone in the community giving you any nicknames?
No, lots of people call me Swampy now. No, the mushroom guy, mushroom man, they all follow suit, but nothing's really stuck.
And would you consider yourself like a mushroom hero?
I would not consider myself a mushroom hero. I don't know if there's a hero alive on Earth today. I'm just teasing.
You know,
I'm just teasing, man. No. I feel like I'm in a lucky position to share what I know on something that a lot of people don't know about, right?
why haven't you not considered making yourself a cookbook?
Oh, the research I've done over the years and the experiences and interest I have in mushrooms has never branched the culinary end at all. I want to know how mushrooms affect our garden and affect our air and affect the forest life around us and things like that. And I like to name them, and it's fun that there's hundreds and thousands of species. I've been hunting mushrooms for 13 years. I see a mushroom I've never seen before all the time. And there's always a new variety out there. But as far as eating them and cooking them, I just saute them in butter and salt to taste, I don't know enough to put a cookbook together. I think that you're right. You're on the money in the sense that is definitely a close next step for me. I've been accepting people's recipes and stuff for a few years. Just because I'm not a chef, I trust other people's palates. And so I've been collecting recipes for a while from a lot of our vendors here and a lot of our other marketeers. And so there will be a cookbook one day. It's kind of low on the totem pole because I've only been farming at this commercial scale for about a year, and there's a lot left to learn. There's a lot to do, so it'll happen, but I don't know when.
I think you should try it.
Oh, I'm trying it, but so far it's just a list of emails and compiled recipes, but it'll happen.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.